Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed Season 2 of the YouTube Premium series Cobra Kai as much as I did. Once again, I thought they did a great job drudging through the murky waters of right and wrong, exploring the gray areas between bully and hero, and illustrating why it's not always easy to determine which is which. Sometimes no one is the hero and no one is the bully, and sometimes someone is both. Except for John Kreese. That guy really is a straight-up snake in the grass, a brew-mating cobra waiting for his chance to strike, while Johnny is a brew-guzzling cobra, those brews being Coors Banquets, of course. But I digress. My quick review of the series is that it's definitely worthy of the first season. It was just as intriguing, surprising, and funny, if not more. But the point of this video is not to review the season, but go over it and point out all the references, Easter eggs, and interesting details I noticed. And just so you don't show me no mercy in the comments, I will warn you that there are spoilers for the series in this video. Also, some of these references are not really Easter eggs and are just for fun. So let's get started. The show begins right where Season 1 ended, the night after the tournament, much in the same way that Karate Kid 2 began right where Karate Kid 1 ended, after the All Valley tournament in '84. Kreese drops in on Johnny, who refuses to shake his hand, but Kreese says,
"But I like that. I like that."
Just like he did to Miyagi in his dojo in the original.
"But I like that. I like that."
After an epic fight between Johnny and Kreese, Johnny puts Kreese in the same rear naked choke that Kreese put him in the intro of Karate Kid 2, and in fact you can see scenes from the movie in these broken shards of glass, probably symbolic of the event shattering their relationship. Daniel trains Robbie with all the same techniques that Mr. Miyagi trained him with while they fix up the dojo, and even does the single strike nailing technique that Miyagi showed him in the beginning of Karate Kid 2. And Daniel still has the car that Miyagi gave him, as well as some of Miyagi's other cars. Robbie picks up the toy drum from the Karate Kid 2, the secret to Miyagi-Do Karate, and then we see Miyagi's Medal of Honor, which he received for his service as a member of the 442nd Regiment in World War II. And Daniel put it in this nice frame in the Karate Kid 2. We also see the Miyagi family dojo scrolls from the Karate Kid 2. Johnny mentioned to Aisha that he wants all the Cobra Kais to watch Over the Top.
The guys and I have to go to Hawk's house to watch some movie called Over the Top.
The classic 1987 Sylvester Stallone movie, in which Stallone is a big rig driver and semi-professional arm wrestler. And I think the scene Johnny wanted to show them was this scene.
Now it's time to do for yourself, Mike, and you can do it. Because I'm telling you, the world meets nobody halfway. Do you understand what that means?
Because that's a very Cobra Kai message. We meet Raymond, who is a hilarious homage to all the 30-somethings who grew up in the 80s and are now obsessed with it. Reminds me a little bit of someone, I can't quite remember who. Yes, Raymond, the 80s were the best era, and to answer your question about Caddyshack, the gopher was 100% real.
Or whatever the noise was.
In the dojo, Daniel has his original gi on display. Daniel gives Sam the awkward father-daughter talk about his former girlfriends, and in the back you can see his All Valley trophy. He mentions Allie Mills, who we all remember, but also Judy, his Newark girlfriend, who is referenced in the original movie. And in fact, you can just barely see her in the first shot of the first movie.
Okay, bye Judy. Send me a picture.
Daniel makes a subtle reference to the Karate Kid trilogy, 1, 2, and 3,
That's a story for another time. And then there's a story after that one. And that one.
Daniel does the same focusing technique that Miyagi taught him in Karate Kid 2 that allowed him to break all 6 blocks of ice. That's right, all 6.
All 6.
Kreese has reassembled Johnny's second place trophy from the All Valley tournament, or maybe he found one that looks just like it because I don't know how he would have picked up all those pieces with 2 broken hands. Johnny paints his challenger the original Cobra Kai colors, and it's back in black and yellow. Daniel is hanging up the lineage of Miyagi ancestors like we saw in the Karate Kid 2 in the Miyagi family dojo, except this guy is a real Miyagi, Chojun Miyagi, the founder of Goju Ryu style karate, which is a traditional Okinawan style of karate, sometimes called hard soft style in English, and this was a big inspiration for the fictional Miyagi-Do style. The Cobra Kais perform a side dab, which is a hip-hop dance move, or maybe Johnny would understand it better as a break dance move. Okay, who am I kidding? I didn't know what this was either, I had to look it up. Daniel puts Sam and Robbie through some extreme balance training, very similar to the boat training that he did in the first Karate Kid, and then we get this awesome 80s style training montage. so Robbie and Sam can be the best around and light their hearts on fire, but this cement mixer seems to have no easy way out. Daniel asks Kreese about his knuckles.
How your knuckles doing there, Kreese?
Because he broke them on both hands trying to punch Miyagi. You'd think he would have learned after he missed the first time. In this hilarious sequence, Johnny discovers the internet and starts looking up everything that was considered hot in the 80s, at least by the standards of hair metal music videos. Then Johnny starts looking into some badass 80s action movies, like the classic 1988 Van Damme martial arts movie, Bloodsport, and the not-so-classic 1986 fighter pilot movie, Iron Eagle. We also saw Johnny watching this movie in Season 1 before he was rudely interrupted by Daniel's dealership ad.
I like muscle cars, martial arts, and Iron Eagle, and Iron Eagle 2.
Then he watches Chuck Norris kick ass in the bar fight scene of the 1982 masterpiece Silent Rage, and gives it a thumbs up. But actually all YouTube videos with Chuck Norris already have 10 million thumbs up, even before they're uploaded. Johnny is rudely interrupted by Daniel again. This time it's a YouTube ad for Miyagi-Do, in which he makes a not-so-subtle reference to the Cobra Kais being snakes in the grass.
Don't be a snake in the grass. Be a champion.
And is later accused of cultural appropriation for his choice of imagery and music. I will defend Daniel on this though. He's not a cultural appropriator, he's simply a filthy weeaboo. Kreese says he should have taken care of Miyagi when he had the chance.
I should have taken care of that old bastard when I had the chance.
He did have the chance twice, and failed miserably both times. In Johnny's Cobra Kai ad, he kicks a bonsai tree, the symbol and logo of Miyagi-Do, right in this poor kid's face. During the Miyagi-Do demo, Daniel uses a bow staff, but Raymond already told you that.
Called a bow. That's what Donatello used to use. This is my favorite turtle.
This guy's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan too? I guess his favorite turtle is Donatello, whereas mine was Leonardo, so that makes us different. Daniel gets ready to break some ice like he did in Karate Kid 2, and he's gonna break all 6.
All 6.
Cobra Kai do a vastly more badass demo, during which Hawk soars through the air and you hear the sound of a hawk. Dimitri points out the mistakes of Kreese's tattoo, which was the symbol of his karate brotherhood back in Vietnam. Terry Silver also has one of these tattoos, and Dimitri faces unsurprising consequences. Miguel and Tori spar, during which Miguel sweeps the leg, classic Cobra Kai move. Then Tori throws him and introduces herself. She's Tori with a Y, much like
Allie with an I.
There's talk that Tori might actually be Allie's daughter, which I'm not sure about, but we might find out next season. Just saying. Johnny makes Cobra Kai Never Dies one of the school mottos, which is a line from Karate Kid 3.
Cobra Kai never dies.
While Daniel is wishing he had Miyagi's advice, he sees some guy wearing Miyagi's trademark beige shirt and pants, and after talking to him, the guy turns out to be a bit of a Miyagi.
If you got something worth biting, eventually the fish will find you.
Random fishing guy drops some metaphorical wisdom on him. Maybe in a way, it's Miyagi's spirit talking through this guy. That's just a theory. When Kreese reveals that he's been lying about his military exploits of late and tells his true story since Johnny last saw him, we see the same photograph of him during his Vietnam days in the background that was in his dojo in Karate Kid 1, and later he hangs it up in Cobra Kai. Johnny asks,
Is any of it true? Afghanistan, Panama, trip to Tahiti.
That latter detail was actually true. Terry Silver sent him there at the beginning of Karate Kid 3. Then Kreese recounts a little bit of what happened to him at the beginning of Karate Kid 3 and says his war buddy offered him a job, very likely talking about Terry Silver, but Kreese didn't accept it because it felt like a handout. I suspect Hawk's hawk is an homage to the shark fin sticking out of the water in Jaws during this scene. Then Dimitri makes yet another Ninja Turtles reference, calling these two Rocksteady and Bebop. I almost think the showrunners are hinting that they want to take over the Ninja Turtle franchise. We hear the song No Shelter by Broken Edge, which was in the original movie during the scene on Halloween night where the Cobra Kais chase Daniel and lay a serious beating on him before he's rescued by Miyagi. A very similar scenario to what will happen with Dimitri. We have this cool fight scene in the mall with a callback to the training that made their victory possible, very Karate Kid, kind of like the crane in Karate Kid 1, the drum in Karate Kid 2, and the kata in Karate Kid 3. Daniel reveals that he's a Game of Thrones fan, and I'm pretty sure he's also down with Naughty by Nature.
I am so down with GOT.
Hawk starts to sound more and more like Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds.
He's a fucking nerd.
Tori starts putting the moves on Miguel and evidently enjoys similar activities as Wayne Campbell from Wayne's World. During this scene, we can see Kreese in the background doing his classic fist signal from the original Karate Kid. We get a nice flashback of Miyagi completing this garden in the first place. There is even someone standing in as a stunt Miyagi, but then we cut back to the future and see what it looks like now. Hawk thought vandalizing Miyagi-Do would hurt them, but actually that just helps Miyagi-Do because it's all based on doing housework, and this just gives them way more to do. Johnny makes the Cobra Kais do burpees because those are the worst, and gets a call from who we find out later is his former Cobra Kai teammate Bobby from the original Karate Kid. Johnny meets up with Bobby and reveals that Bobby is a pastor now, which makes sense because Bobby always was the voice of reason among the original Cobra Kai students.
Hey, leave him alone, man. He's had enough. Shut up, Bobby!
They go to visit Tommy, another one of the original Cobra Kais, who is terminally ill, and another original Cobra Kai, Jimmy, shows up to have one last adventure with the gang. The only major one who doesn't show up is Dutch, because, as they reveal later, he's in prison, but in reality the actor who played him, Chad McQueen, simply declined to take the role. But still, this is a great reunion of 4 of the original Cobra Kais in Karate Kid 1. At the Miyagi-Do dojo, Chris says that Dimitri can't drop a challenge and leave, echoing Kreese.
You don't come in my dojo and drop a challenge and leave, old man.
I didn't drop a challenge.
The 4 OG Cobra Kais go on one last ride, which is fitting because this was their introduction in the first Karate Kid. They put on these skeleton masks, which is definitely a reference to their Halloween costumes in the first movie, and the song you hear during the scene is the song that played during their introduction in the first movie, The Ride by The Matches. After Kreese instructs Tori to finish him, he asks her if she has a problem with that, very similar to a question he asked Johnny in the first movie.
You have a problem with that?
Do you have a problem with that?
Kreese is teaching them exactly what he taught his students in the first Karate Kid. He hasn't changed a bit. As Daniel is trying to unbrainwash these former Cobra Kai students, he recounts what happened to him in Karate Kid 3. Yes, he was a Cobra Kai. The conniving Terry Silver seduced him into it. We finally get to see Terry Silver in the Cobra Kai series, albeit by flashback from Karate Kid 3, but still he's in there. Then Daniel teaches all his students the kata from Karate Kid 3, so I'm pretty sure all of these kids can now beat Mike Barnes. During the OG Cobra Kai camping trip, Tommy tragically dies, and this scene is sad, but the showrunners couldn't help themselves. They had to show Tommy getting zipped up in... What is that? What is that he's getting zipped up in? Yeah.
Get him a body bag! Yeah!
Come on, they had to do it. During the scene, we hear Kreese say, "Cobra Kai never dies," his classic line from Karate Kid 3, except for Tommy, it does. When Kreese confronts Daniel at his dojo, he makes several war analogies, which pretty much sums up his character.
This isn't war.
Sure it is.
For him, this whole karate thing is a very real war. The war never ended for him. There was only the lull between battles. Daniel says this hot summer day is a blessing because they can do Shochu Geiko, a traditional form of Japanese judo training, which takes place on the hottest days of summer in order to build strength and cultivate resolve. The event's polar opposite is Kangeiko, which takes place in midwinter, in order to train during the coldest days of the year. Raymond flips the script like Hawk did in Season 1, and is reborn as Stingray. The Cobra Kais do this no-holds-barred, brutal version of Capture the Flag, or Capture the Headband. And during the challenge, when Hawk pounces, we hear that Hawk sound effect once again. After the challenge, when Johnny questions Miguel about his tactics, Miguel says this isn't a tournament, this is real life, echoing Miyagi in Karate Kid 2.
It's not tournament. It's for real.
In one of the greatest scenes in the entire series, we peek into Johnny's dream love affair with Miguel's mom, Carmen, and it's basically a Whitesnake music video, with loads of subtle references from 80s hair metal music videos. In the scrapbook, you can see a shot of Daniel and Mr. Miyagi at the Gorge from Karate Kid 3, probably a shot they took on set. During this 80s night, Sam and Robbie go as Andy and Steph from Pretty in Pink. Tori goes as Madonna from either desperately seeking Susan or her cameo in Vision Quest, and Miguel goes as Johnny from The Karate Kid. Actually, he just borrowed Johnny's old jacket. Robbie mentions that rather than seeing him as James Spader from Pretty in Pink, most people think he's some guy named Don Johnson. Who's that, you ask? In order to get back with his wife, Daniel plays You're the Inspiration by Peter Cetera, and apparently whenever Daniel wants to woo a lady, he goes for Peter Cetera, because another Peter Cetera song, Glory of Love, was playing while he and Kumiko fell in love in Karate Kid 2. Okay, it wasn't actually playing in the scene, we just heard it, and this episode is named Glory of Love. As Carmen is about to go out with Johnny, her mother mentions that she is hot for teacher.
That's hot for teacher.
Which is a Van Halen reference, so apparently she's into the 80s metal too. Johnny says of course he can dance. Yeah, cause he was on Dancing with the Stars. Didn't you see that? This isn't really a reference, but Daniel vs. Johnny Part 2, we finally got to see it. Except every time they fight, a member of Daniel's family breaks it up, so we never get to see the ending. Back at school, they play Cruel Summer by Bananarama, the original. You can't beat the classics. Although they do play a cover of the song at the end of this episode, and it works really well, but at least they have the original in there somewhere. Johnny asks Robbie if Trapper Keepers are still cool, and says he used to have one with a fighter jet. Maybe it was even an Iron Eagle Trapper Keeper. And I used to think this guy was cool. We get what is probably the most epic in-school fight from any show or movie, during which Stingray has somehow learned Tiger Claw technique, Hawk goes a bit Jack Torrance, and Tori goes a bit Wolverine. The Cobra Kai student shows mercy, and the Miyagi-Do student doesn't, which just illustrates why this show is so great. They keep throwing curveballs at us. And all I have to say about this is ouch. In Robbie's room, Daniel picks up a book about the history of Okinawa, like the one he took with him to Okinawa in Karate Kid 2. There's also a book there about the 442nd, which was Miyagi's military regiment. Kreese reemerges again, he's been bruminating, and steals back Cobra Kai. And in a way, he's got a point. Showing mercy was Miguel's downfall in this case. We get a somewhat sad ending with the sad new version of Cruel Summer, and in the final shot, Allie Mills accepts Johnny's friend request on Facebook. I'm assuming this is a hint that she's coming back in Season 3. At least I hope that's the case. It'll be great to see Elizabeth Shue in the series. Those are all the references, details, and Easter eggs I noticed in Season 2 of Cobra Kai. Like I said, I really enjoyed it, and I'm really anticipating a third season now, so we can only hope that it doesn't take them that long. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and you can also check me out on the internets, on Facebook or Twitter, which I've linked below, #StoryDive. Let me know if I missed an Easter egg, or got something wrong in the comments below, and what you thought about this season. How does it compare to the first season for you? I'd love to know. Stay tuned for more Cobra Kai videos. I'm sure I will do some in the future. Thanks for watching. Until next time.